Now, if you ride a commuter motorcycle every day and you've kind of gotten bored of that experience, you want something bigger, but not necessarily without the hassle of riding a bigger motorcycle, then you're probably looking at either this, that's the Royal Enfield Hunter 350, or this, that's the TVS Ronin. Now, both of these motorcycles are offering that big bike experience in a small package and will definitely be easier to ride than other big bikes. But which one should you go after, and do they offer the same experience? Now that's what we're going to find out today in this video. Hi, my name is Dhruv Paliwal, you're watching autoX, and today we're comparing these two motorcycles. Now obviously when you are upgrading to a bigger motorcycle, you want your motorcycle to look good, you want it to turn heads, and both these motorcycles go about doing that in their own different way. Let's start with the Royal Enfield first because it's been around longer. I think the design of the Royal Enfield here is simple, and that's always been the key design aspect of any Royal Enfield. I mean, you get alloy wheels here, they look really nice, but look at this headlamp. It's a simple halogen unit, unlike the one on the TVS. The tank also, it's nice chisel shape, but it's not shouting that it's a big tank or it's a motorcycle. It's well rounded, and honestly, I like the fact that they've given this nice flat contact patch here because it allows you to grip the tank with your knees quite well. Move towards the back, it's a stepped up seat, but there is no visible demarcation in the center, so you really are not uncomfortable sitting there. And as you move towards the back, you see these round tail lights, which kind of sum up the Royal Enfield look, because Royal Enfield has always been about being simple, being functional, and that this motorcycle does really well. Even the mirrors, they're round, paying their homage to all RE motorcycles of the old, and that's what the design of the Royal Enfield is all about. It's about being simple, it's not about being shouty, but it does have presence. It will turn heads. That all blacked out paint scheme, tank which has been nicely done in the silver. You have more color options and there are more dual tone options as well, but simply none of them are begging for your attention, but they do make their presence felt. Now let's go over to the TVS. You can feel, you can see that the TVS is a more shouty motorcycle in the sense that it's trying more, it's trying harder to grab your attention. Let's start with this headlamp here. It's the round unit, same as the one on the RE, but you have this big T in the center. Do you like this? Let me know down in the comments below. Then you have these nice chunky golden upside down forks. I'm honestly a big fan of golden upside down forks, but here even the paint scheme on the TVS, it feels a little more shouty. It's trying to grab your attention. You know, the RE has a dual tone paint scheme, but over here you have this contrasting element in terms of this yellow which seeks out your attention. Then you have a lot of silver accents down near the engine compartment, and those again are seeking your attention. Now depending on who you are and who you are not, you might like this or you might not like this. We want to know that down in the comment section below. I also want to ask you one more thing. The mirror shape on the TVS is very different than compared to the one on the RE. Which one do you like? I want to know the answer to that as well. You know what? You know where to reach out to me down in the comments box below. Now finally, let's move towards the back of the motorcycle to give you my final opinion, and that's the tail lamp. I was riding behind this motorcycle at night and I honestly like the kind of look it has. This, let's say, C-shaped tail lamp and these sleek indicators, they really give it a bit of panache, and I think that was much needed. The exhaust, it looks a little too chunky for my taste, but honestly it sounds great. Okay, I want to quickly show to you guys what both these motorcycles sound like, and I honestly like the sound of both of them. This one, it has a more natural TVS sound, and those of you who have owned Apaches in the past will know what I'm talking about. I've owned quite a few of them and I love their sound. The RE sound not so much, but it is still that traditional Royal Enfield thump. Now while I'm already here, let me also talk to you about the ergonomics, and as I'm sitting on the RE, let's start with the RE. Now first of all, if you're sitting in a normal position here, I think the RE has the more relaxed riding position of the two motorcycles, and I'll tell you why. First of all, Royal Enfield has shortened the wheelbase, and now these pegs, they feel a little rear set, but honestly it's not too big a compromise. Now when I'm riding these with riding shoes, they do feel a little off, but honestly most of the people in the real world do not ride with riding shoes on, and if you do not have chunky shoes on, you will be able to fit into them really well. As far as the handlebars go, I think you have to reach forward just a little. Now I'm 5'7". If I were to sit straight and try and reach the handlebars, my arms are a little straight, and that's not an optimum riding position. You ideally want your arms to be a little bent, to be forming around a 90-degree bend over here, and to get into that position, you do have to bend forward a little. So while the RE is masquerading as a cruiser, it is ideally asking you to just exert yourself a little, but not too much. I don't think you'll be tired after a day of riding, but yeah, it will not be like other Royal Enfields that you have ridden, that is for sure. I'll also want to talk about the switchgear quality here, and I must say with the RE, I'm really impressed. First of all, I like these really nice old school switches. You do not see them on most bikes now, and the fact that Royal Enfield has brought them back is aces in my book. It feels really nice thumping the starter, just flicking it over to the left and starting this. It honestly just looks cool. As far as the pegs go, I've already told you they're a little rear set. I want to tell you I like this serrated brake lever, but because it gives you a really nice feel on your leg when you're reaching out for the rear brake. Apart from that, I think this is almost a cruiser-like position to keep riding in, and as far as your pillion goes, they also have enough space. They have a nice chunky grab rail over here to hold, and overall you will have a nice experience riding the Royal Enfield. Now let's move over to the TVS. Now obviously, first difference you're going to notice when you get onto the TVS is that your bum feels more relaxed, because that's a softer seat. And by a softer seat, I mean you'll find it to be nice initially because obviously you're a lot more cushioned, but I don't think the seat is gonna work out really well when you want to munch miles after miles on the highway. That's something that we've not done, so we cannot confidently say, but that's the general consensus, the general wisdom, that a softer seat will not allow you to munch miles that easily that a regular seat would. Beware on that front. Apart from that, I think the handlebar of the TVS falls to hand more easily. It's a little bit more towards you, so you're not reaching out for it. There's one thing that's a little bit off, and that's the feet position. Notice where my feet are at. They're forming a 90-degree angle. That means that the pegs are quite forward set, and yes, in a cruiser like motorcycle you do want this kind of a stance, but the thing is, these are not all out cruiser motorcycles. This is in fact a small cruiser, and on that front I'll just tell you why I feel this is a little off a little later in the video, but it's a little 2 feet forward for me at least. Apart from that, I think the switchgear quality is typical TVS, is nothing to write home about. In fact, this mode button here keeps getting stuck inside. Once you press it, it doesn't come back out. Small niggles like that, but overall you do not feel special on this motorcycle because you feel like all this switchgear has just been borrowed from other bits and pieces lying in the TVS parts bin. Now see, I earlier mentioned that I'm going to be telling you something about related to the speed forward riding position, and that's it, the engine. You see, the engine on the TVS, it likes to rev out, and what cruiser likes to rev out? Because it's a short stroke motor, so it's easy to rev out, and because of that this feels like a sporty motorcycle. You do not want that in a cruiser. I mean, if this is a sporty motorcycle, then I want to start cornering it, then I want to start hustling it, and that's when this feet forward riding position gets caught out. And honestly, I think the problem in here is not that the fact that the motor can be stretched to that limit. It's the fact that the motorcycle is confused in what it's trying to be. Is it trying to be a street naked? Is it trying to be a cruiser? That's what I think TVS needs to figure out here. Apart from that, I think the riding experience of the Ronin is fantastic. You can rev it out, the controls are very easy, they're very soft to use. Now that can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on the kind of experience you're looking for. If you're looking for an easygoing experience, then I think you'll find all the controls, that's the brake, the throttle, the clutch, the gear lever. The gear lever is especially soft. Sometimes you do not get that sensation that have you shifted into gear or not. And that for someone who likes to ride with all their heart and soul can sometimes not be a good thing. But riding in traffic, it kind of takes away the stress of riding, and that's the one good bit about it. Now let's come to the Royal Enfield on that front. The Royal Enfield, as we all know, is the master of the thump, and it's got a long stroke motor, and obviously the red line is not as high as the one on the Ronin, but I like the fact that RE over the years have worked on this motor, made it more and more refined, so that even when you're revving it out now, you do get the vibes, but you do not feel bad about revving out this motor. In fact, once in a while you do want to rev it out all the way, you can have that little bit of extra fun. As far as the controls go, I think I have to say the clutch is a tad too heavy. A special mention to the brakes. I think they have really good feedback. More than feedback, they are progressive in nature. So even in an emergency situation, you do not feel like you're getting on the brakes a little too quickly. You do not feel like you're about to lose control. Even the ABS unit on both these motorcycles, it's really well tuned, and you have ABS at both ends on either motorcycles, and there is zero slip. But that also means that you cannot have fun, and I like to have fun with my motorcycle, but that's the story for another day. As far as the ride quality goes, both of them are set up stiff, I must say, but surprisingly, it's the Ronin that throws you around a little bit more. The front end on both of these motorcycles is pretty absorbent. It's the rear that's the problem. I was riding it over a patch of bumpy surface doing around 80-90 kmph, and on that front, it was the Ronin which continuously kept flinging me into the air, and it's not a very nice feeling. It's a very unsettling feel to have. Even the RE was throwing me around a little bit, but it at least kept me tethered to the ground. On the Ronin, I did not have that confidence, so that was the one miss, I would say, in terms of the ride experience. Now honestly, this is the time when I have to sum up this video, and if I had to pick one motorcycle right now, it would be the Royal Enfield Hunter 350, simply because RE has been making this kind of motorcycles for a long time. This motorcycle, it's got a lot of character, and it's doing the basics really well. The TVS Ronin, on the other hand, it's a very good first attempt by TVS, but there are still things that are desired. I mean, TVS needs to figure out what it wants to do with the Ronin, because right now it feels like it's caught in a middle ground, and that's honestly something that's not going to work well with customers. So for now, it's RE for the win, but we have a feeling that TVS is going to play catch up pretty soon.